another episode, but this time is extremely special because Yesenia Nelson is in the house, co-founder of the one and only seven-figure agency, the coaching marketing agency coaching program that changed my life and so many others over the last 5 years. Yesenia, welcome to the show. How are you?
So excited to be here, Azar. Always good having a nice chat with a good friend.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I was really looking forward to this. And I think one of the things that Yesenia does really well is like the whole mind body connection, especially, right? What keeps you going through we're building out these amazing fast-paced businesses, right? They're getting to $1 million and multiple $1 million, some of them eight figures. And like, how do you keep up with this? Because it's so it's so easy to get out of control and just lose track of everything. I really admire her for that and admire her for being that rock or that gel around the community that these guys have created around Seven Figure Agency. And part of the this podcast is special also because Yesenia, I'm writing my second book, The Remote First Agency. And you guys have a lot of that experience because basically Seven Figure runs as completely remote. We meet specialized times during the year. And your other agency, Josh's other agency, the plumbing and HVAC SEO, that's also moved partly, I believe, and I want to get into that as well, to remote, right? And then staying away, still creating this culture that's so inclusive that when we see each other face to face or on a video call, it feels we're right there in person. Right? And keeping that employees and keeping your clients engaged in that remote environment now. It's a phenomenal. If anyone can learn is from you and Josh. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But do you want to give me, you guys have a really exciting story, college sweethearts, and then now to co-founding this amazing coaching business, the seven-figure agency, and having the three boys now?
Three boys, yes. 7, 8, and 3 right now.
Love it, love it. And yeah, and then also, so inside the marketing world, let me ask you this, yeah, before we get into that. I see this gap of females and males. I don't know if those are appropriate words I'm using now. You got to be careful. But just let's go with that for a little bit. I see that when there's employees and people who do great work, we have a ton of females. Like at RepStack, we have 60% female workforce. But right at the top, at the level you are at as co-founders and as owners of the business, the percentage is extremely skewed. Why do you think that is? That because you guys have the excess responsibility of running the household and the babies in this case? I can't imagine what the type of learning that you have to do just to do that.
Yes, the agency space is predominantly male oriented for sure. And we're seeing more and more women join as more and more businesses are going into the agency space. And what's wonderful about more and more women joining a seven-figure agency and just joining the agency space is the fact that they're providing more opportunities for other women too, because a lot of them have, like you said, a predominant female employee
Hmm.
base.
Hmm.
And we have a handful of them that have an all-female employee team.
Hmm.
And what that breeds is loyalty and understanding, right? That it's like people getting together and sharing experiences. And so you just create such an interesting culture that other women want to be a part of because it's just a magnetizing thing to be able to say, hey, we only work with women. It's pretty impressive to pull off. But they also bring a very unique aspect to the workplace because if you choose as a female to go into entrepreneurship, you know that you already are thick skinned. You're going to come with a savvy, intuition, all of these things. And so bringing that into a business environment where you're owning a business and have a team that you put together is such a unique perspective that can only elevate the room to have more women entrepreneurs there.
Lovely. We share a client, Laurie Warner. She has an all female. She's also working in a niche which is really focused around females in the medical world. And she loves the fact that she's got a all female team and like they thrive with her. Yeah, no, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit, Yesenia, tell me a little bit about like how like what's been happening over the last 10 to 20 years and how did you we end up here?
Oh my goodness, there is so much to unpack there. Sorry.
We're
Decades.
marketers. If anyone can do it, it's us.
Awesome. So yeah, in the past decades, I started with plumbing and HVAC SEO, getting that off the ground. Once we got to the million mark, it's sharing the path that we had to success with other people. And we started off plumbing and HVAC with, if we're sticking to teams here, we started off with a building and everyone was in-house.
Hmm.
And then fast forward to 2020 with COVID, it gave us an opportunity to change the entire team dynamic and bring them remote, where they were given the opportunity for freedom and flexibility and be able to be home, not have to drive back and forth. And we realized that's a possibility when we were forced into it, right? We were all forced into this remote environment. And so it helped with the overhead as well to reduce costs, not to pay for that building every month. So that was wonderful. And we had already been doing that with seven-figure agency that's been around now for 10 years. So what we did was just do a shift. Okay, let's copy paste pretty much the setup and structure that we had already with our systems and procedures. Since we adopted Entrepreneur Operating System or EOS, it was a lot smoother of a transition for us to move from in-house to virtual. But now we are 100% virtual team in both
Really?
plumbing and HVAC and at
No
seven-figure
way.
agency.
That is
Yes.
surprising. Very
And
surprising.
it's one of the cool superpowers of having a 100% virtual team is the fact that it forces you to be very intentional with your team culture and have all your operations and structure really dialed in,
Hmm.
because without that, it can easily go off the wheels and lose track and momentum, and you don't know what team members are doing. So it's really important to over communicate in a situation like ours.
So do you think it's easier to do it remotely, or did you like the old way of doing things better? What's the biggest one pro and one
Yeah.
con of two systems
I
out
would
there?
say the biggest miss was coming out of the office and just being able to talk right there with the person that you need to speak with. But the negative of that is the fact that you do get bombarded with kind of questions and you're jumping into somebody's world that they're focused on something else. So
Hmm.
again, just forcing you to have that structure of set team meetings and relying on Slack wholeheartedly so that people's days are not interrupted as much as if they were in the office. So
And then what's the pro of one pro, the biggest pro that you see of going remote or remote first?
the overhead, of course, the cost, the bottom line of that
You
one.
you
But
unlock massive savings right there, right? Like
oh
just
my
by making
gosh,
that one decision, it's a huge amount.
100%. Huge. And we have learned other ways to create that same type of culture. So, for example, instead of being able to take somebody out for their birthday, if they're here locally. Instead, cash is king. We gift them with money, with an Amazon gift card. If they're overseas and Amazon doesn't translate in the same way, we just send them cash via the same way that
Mm.
we do payroll. We gift them in that way. We are very intentional with the kind of, you do this so well too, Azar, with just the giveaways. Speaking of which, I have your awesome Yeti here that I
I
use often that has both of our logos on it. I love that you do that. And so using Yetis, doing Nike backpacks, Nike sweatshirts, and just being generous with our team. These are the people that we live with. We see more of them than our own blood relatives. So our 7FA family is our who we see every single day. And we want to make sure that we're supporting them as much as they're supporting us.
Yeah, and I feel like we're at a point where when we say that we have all in-house team, it might not be, I'm gonna be bold enough and say that it might not be the positive that it was 5 years ago, maybe. That, hey, I have everyone in my office right here in Atlanta. Versus now it might be something that might be holding you back now, because that's every time I've talked to Sean. I interviewed Sean, Robin, and Alex last month in Dallas for my book. And a couple of things I found out was that it's definitely because they have 1,500 employees, 70% of them are placed globally, only 30% in the US. Yet they're a 5 billion US company. And if they're doing it, they must have figured something out, and they're going remote first. That's their culture. That's where I learned that there's a way to run business, which is remote first, which means that every single employee defaults to remote work first, and then anything get-togethers and all of that stuff, it comes after that. So that's one point. The other point is Robin. When I was interviewing Robin, he told me a very specific thing, because, and you mentioned this, that it's you're not there, you can't open up the door and just walk in and just get stuff done. So I learned this for my research, that what how high level does it. What they do is that they have 1,500 employees, and every employee during their shift is supposed to be in that department or team's breakout room on Zoom. So they're there, they're just logged into that Zoom room. If they're going, they're going to say, hey, I have a client call, be right back. And so everyone knows where everyone is. And if you want to pop into an office, Robin's, I just jump in different breakout rooms throughout the day. Teams are there. You can just go have a quick chat instead of writing a message and all of that stuff and be done with it. It's just like having an office door. I really, yeah. And we've already moved. I think we used to have a very small number of teams, like sales and our training department in breakout rooms before this. Now we're transitioning everyone to all 250 employees to a breakout room system where they're there all the time. You don't have to talk. Like when you're in an office, you don't talk to each other most of the time, but you're there if you need to. You can just unmute and say, hey, Yesenia, you know about this deadline coming up, and or you can just pop into this Teams thing and see what you want to solve. So we're going all out with that.
Love it. Yeah, when you have such a large volume of team members, you have to be really dialed in with your systems and procedures of how you go about getting everybody on team meetings so that we're not wasting people's time, but being effective in doing so. So that's amazing.
Yeah. And then one last question on this global teams is, what do you think, like, how do you guys do it so well? Like, you have them integrate so well that one of the employees that we placed for you we placed a few, but he's still there almost 5 years into the job. And he's based out of Pakistan, all the way across the globe in different time zones. But yet here he is now, probably closing 15, 20, $30,000 a year contracts almost on a daily and weekly basis. And so how do you keep everyone motivated? What's the special sauce in a remote environment now for keeping that culture alive, keeping people, because I feel that people really stay for the culture of that business, right? Like they can get 50,000 more here and there. They for the comfort zone, the more comfortable we can keep them, they stick around. But what's your secret sauce for that?
100%. We love Husnan, by the way, who you're referring to. Like it's such a great addition to our team family. He is so great with communication and has that awesome giving heart that just is there to support the entire team. We have our core values, to answer your question, that we created with the team, right? So we build these together based on what we wanted to see new employees coming into our sphere, what we wanted to grade them against, right? We want to make sure that they had these 5 things. And for everybody, it's different. It's like a special fingerprint. I know we've talked about that before, Azar. So for us specifically, it's to be fully engaged. is to be resourceful, to be responsive, be a team player, be passionate. And so they all live this, it's in every fabric of everything that we do at Seven Figure Agency. And so one of the things, for example, is that we've adopted is we use Slack. And there's something called karma points. And anytime that one of their peers is showcasing being a team player, being responsive, and they help someone out, they give them these kudo or karma points where they accumulate and they can go to the shop and they purchase Amazon gift cards or cash, a training that they wanted to get that was pretty expensive, all kinds of ways to cash in on their karma. And they absolutely love it. It's one of their favorite things that we do as a team. Another thing that we do
What
is
would be the dollar value on that karma point, Yesenia?
great
Just
question. So they're anywhere from 3 to 5 points. And when we have something like a huge project, like for example, each of our intensives, they award each other 10 points. And so when they accumulate, we probably spend about $400 a month on cashing out of these. So just to give you perspective, it's like us taking them out to dinner. We would love to do that if they were all here in person, but that would be the exchange. Instead, they're earning it in a way because they're just fulfilling on those core
you're
principles.
just helping the culture
Yeah.
while getting rewarded automatically. I love that because we do it for all our people as well. And we've also added the option of cashing out the karma points. If you want to cash out, you can add it to your next paycheck, right? It's just using your points to pay for the credit card.
Yeah,
So,
we
so
do the
yeah,
same.
we love Karma Connect. It's a big part of our culture. We have this subculture around karmas, right? Everyone's talking, and sometimes because our employees, each one of them get a certain amount to spend every month, and they want to make sure that they give it out to everyone. And we don't even mind if they're like, "Hey, I couldn't do anything. You want to trade karmas?" Like it's the whole culture around karmas now, the Karma Connects that happen around it, right? Those meetings that you randomly I don't know if you have the Karma Connects on your side or not, but we have the
Yes.
Karma Connects on as well. Randomly on every Thursday, I get to meet someone new from my employees or someone that I haven't talked to in a long time. And that works out really. And automatically, everyone gets 5 or 10 karma points just for doing that meeting.
So cool. It's
All
like a
right.
coffee break where they connect with each
Yeah,
other.
exactly.
Yeah.
We hand them out a lot as well through our coffee breaks and different hangouts that we have. We'll use karma points for the best video or someone who does this task really fast or whatever that is. So you can use them in a lot of different ways. So I want to shift gears a little bit, Yesenia, and I want to talk about personal well-being a little bit. So my question is, what's one powerful mindset or habit that help you rise as a female leader? And how can we create more space for females in within our industry as well? So just for let's start with the mindset and what's that routine like maybe, and what helps you get through such a busy life with being a mom to 3 kids, a wife, having your family there, and then running this amazing coaching service.
I appreciate that. Great question. So for me, it's routine and sticking to it, being committed like 100%, not, well, I woke up this day and I'm not really feeling it today, but actually committed. Even if you don't feel like it, you're still going to do it. The mindset would be not waiting for permission.
Hmm.
So to change things in my own life. So one of the things I did a few years back was write down a list of frustrations I was having. So one of them was I was Uber eating 5 days, 5 times a day, not 5 days a week, 5 times a day. Okay. It was pretty sad. Snacks, lunch, dinner, breakfast, everything. And you know how it is eating off the street for the
Hmm.
diet. It's not great. And I wrote down, I got to get my health in check. And another thing was working out. As a busy mom with 3 kids, we didn't have time. And I was like, how was I going to make time. And it did take that intentional thought of, let me write this down and then I'm going to figure out how to do it and commit to it. Another one was having time to work out. Where am I going to fit that in? There's nobody to cover the kids if I leave the house to go work out for an hour. And not reading consistently. I definitely want to bump up my game, so I'm reading at least 20 minutes a day, doing my daily devotionals in the morning and being consistent with that. I had been there, but I wanted to just even more so every single day, even the weekends. And so just a huge, so many things as are, even as a woman, getting my hair done, getting my nails done. There's so many things on this list. And I just started tackling them one at a time. And I noticed that a few of them, if I grouped something like, for example, getting a house manager, I can knock a lot of these things off the list. And because some of them was like cooking for myself, right? We hired somebody off of care.com. And this is a hat tip to Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. It has changed our lives completely for Josh and I. But for me, basically hiring this person to come in Monday through Friday from they're here 8:30 in the morning till 6:30 p.m. And they do our laundry. They do Amazon boxes that are opened up and they crush them and then put them away. And they go into our groceries and order the groceries. They arrive, they stock them into the fridge, they get rid of all the expired stuff, all like the little things too. It's like they're putting the toilet paper back when it's out. The little fights that maybe Josh and I probably would have had over things like that. Did you order the groceries? Okay, no, I didn't either. Okay, somebody's got to do it. That mental energy of those little things all throughout the day, taxes and time is something that we don't get back. Right? As entrepreneurs, we can make more money, but we can't make more time. And so that's what we did with our house manager is have more time, not just for each other and Josh and I being able to go on dates consistently again, but also with our kids. We were able to make the switch from having them go to school to now homeschooled at home so that when I'm done with my day and they're done with the teachers that we hired at our house that come over, we come together and we just hang out and chill and talk about our day and we eat together and do that instead of worrying about homework and still working on things till late at night because they're already doing homework and studying. So it's just so much of a change to our family dynamic. And it all started with that root thing of being intentional. What are the things that are driving me nuts? And knowing that I am the captain of the ship here. I can make these changes, but I do need to be aware of it and be intentional and say, look, there is a solution. I just haven't thought of it yet. Let me write this down and figure it out.
Yeah, writing it down is the first step, right? Like you're designing a mindset. You might not be able to do everything right now, but as you transition and you build your business and you have all these problems identified, like just having them identified is your first step, right? Like you may not be able to do anything else, just identifying what needs to cut out from my life right now and what needs to replace this. Like, for example, junk food with workouts, we all can do right now. We can make our list right now. And then I've also seen, noticed, I don't know if it's been true for you or not, the more I've done of learnings, number one, working out and keeping my health in check. And these two things, along with my business, which was like really stalling my marketing agency, like just making these changes with what you said consistently, and took me about 2 years to start seeing like really impactful results coming out of it. But this was the prerequisite. We, like just you said, that you need to identify, hey, I need to grow to 7 figures. It's not happening. What do I need to do here? Because I'm going at all cylinders. The firepower is not concentrated. So when I started with the learnings and like you said, with consistently, and also this just taking this to the next level, that you just do the activity on the health and fitness side, sorry. On the health and fitness side was crucial for me. I could not have gone through all the stressful stuff unless and until I was doing all this stuff, putting self stress on myself, coming into that work really clear with your mental focus is completely clear. You bring that energy from first thing in the morning over to your work, over to your family, and so on and on. So was that kind of true for you? Because obviously it took us some time, especially you, like where you are, I want to be. But where do we start out with this stuff? Where would you start if you had to do it all over again?
You mean starting a business, or you're talking
No, I
about
mean
for
like
work
really
now?
dialing in because this consistent stuff, like I tried it for a really long time, but for me, that mindset had to click in,
Hmm.
that purpose-driven learning that you like
Yes.
right now for me to finish a finance book is a week's project. Before, like even if I had interest in a subject, I would probably not finish that. Now, since I doing started doing that, other things came to being. I met Josh because of that. I got my the recruitment business off the ground. So many things, but that learning consistency, nobody's going to do that for you. It's going to come in, right? You're going to have to make that first decision. Once you get, I would imagine that would be the first step.
100%. So I would say the calendar, getting a hold of your schedule of your day to day, because if it's on your calendar for that 24 hours of the day or the 5 days a week that you're looking at, it's going to get done. But if it's not on the calendar, yeah, that's something that I hope to accomplish at some point, someday. But it's carving it out, even if it's like just chunking it up and thinking, all right, so for example, goal of writing your book, and dividing it up into time frames and saying, all right, I'm going to block this day on Friday to brainstorm and put that together. Whether you're doing a session for a topic that you're speaking at on stage, or a topic for your videos that you're doing on social media content, just anything that you set out to do, it's being intentional. What is the project? Breaking it down. And EOS does this so well,
Mhm.
where they really show you the step-by-step process. And we have this in the training portal as well, of going from starting out and all right, what's the outlook that I want to have? What's the end results? And doing the backtrack of how long is it going to take me to get there? And just chunking it up into bite-sized steps so that each week you accomplish something towards the goal and doing those milestones.
Simple stuff. Anyone can get started with this stuff. Love it.
100%.
I want to just ask you one more question, maybe one and a half, Yesenia. But the first one is, is there a fun story? You're also on a special journey because me and my brothers work every single day together, and you also work with your better half together, Josh Nelson. And is there something out of the box or something unexpected as you guys grew through this journey of working together? Because every time you meet people, who may not have good experiences, may have heard something. People usually tell us, man, like working with family, I don't know about that. But to me, it's the best feeling in the world because it's brought the family closer because you want to work with people you love. You're already spending that time. So it doesn't feel like we're apart at all, even though we're so apart in distances. So what about you and Josh? How is that growing like within your family and running a business?
Great question. So we started off with knowing each other when we were 17. We met, I know you mentioned that earlier, that we're high school sweethearts, and so blessed to have had that opportunity with him because it really helped us grow together, because we had so much maturing to do as our as kids. And we got to have that time before kids to experiment with other businesses that didn't work out, right? And all the ways of how not to do things. And then throwing ourselves into training together
Mm.
and building the businesses starting from scratch with the business partner with Dean at Plumbing and HVAC SEO, where Josh was selling to the clients and Dean was creating the websites. And then I came on as the account manager to manage the accounts. And then as we started hiring more and more team, each department started to grow and we were managing more and more employees. And then we created Seven Figure Agency together, Josh and I, and it's been wonderful. The one word I'd say is supported, is how I feel, because you have someone else that you know has your back. And being there for the other person, communicating with each other, that's been the biggest thing, is just making sure that every week we have a time that we plug in and we talk about business and then shut it off at the end of the day and still be husband and wife. And I'm sure that's the same with you as our, where you get together with your brothers and have the time where you go run and jog and do your K races and have
So we
like
do, yeah.
that time.
And, and that's the best, right? Because when we're working with your co-founders, you're also family. But then me and Athar were in Dallas in February. That's where we came up with the subscriptions that we just launched, like a learning-based subscription service that we launched. We decided on doing this in February because we were together. We were hanging out after the event, and we just say, hey, it'll be cool to pivot this way. Let's see what happens. And within a month, we pivoted, we got that idea off the ground, and now we
And
all
now look at what you guys have built. It's amazing. You guys have skyrocketed
so,
success.
and then it's also usually when we're on our off times, we won't go into work talk. But when
Okay.
something cool comes to you, it's great to be there with each other because we don't have to wait till tomorrow or anything like that, right? We can just run it off each other immediately and be done with it.
That is a huge benefit is the fact that you're living, well, for us especially, because we're like in the same house.
Mm. Yeah,
So we
yeah.
definitely have those conversations at night after the kids go to bed and we'll have a couple things that we talk about as we hash out what happened to each other during the day. Because even though we're in the same business and
Mm.
in the same house, like he has his office, I have my office. I meet with different team members sometimes, he meets with others. So he's in sales department, I'm in ops. It's fun to get to come together and connect again. And
I think that's sorry to cut you off, Yesenia. I think that's like you really picked on a hit nail on the head there. You guys also, when you work in the business, you're working in different teams and different departments, and that's what me and my brothers do. Like we stay in our lanes. And I know he can trust. I can trust Athar with the sales and the operations and all of that. Yawer with finance, and but we really stay in our lanes, and we rely on these guys to get that areas covered. And I feel that's also very important because if you're doing the same thing, both of you, that's going to be a problem, I feel. Because I've done that in my past agencies and it's never worked out. But this time, the difference was that we ran different departments from the get-go and it worked out.
I think what we also share in common is the fact that Josh and I have very complementary skill sets. So, you know, what one person lacks, the other person has,
Mm.
and vice versa. So that has been wonderful. And it all started like the way that because the one question we get a lot of is how do you guys make it work? Like how do you work cohesively under the household and all the stuff? And to us, it feels second nature because of all the years that we've spent together before, coming
Mm.
into this marriage as a partnership, right?
Yeah,
If one person is the main dominant party over another, we get the off balance of one person's walking around eggshells with the
yeah.
other, kind of keeping secrets and things like that. So when we're just working together as a team, we look at our finances as a team. How are we going to raise our kids? We look at that as a team. And so this is just another aspect of our lives that we approach in the same manner. And so that has been super helpful.
That's why the VCs, they love the co-founders who have had, who just didn't come around the business to launch it, but they have past relationships, right? Because it's so important. And in my brother's cases, we grew up together fighting and getting in and out of that stuff, going into a room, having a very intense game and like really boys games and all of that stuff, and then fighting with each other in most cases. And then once the game's done, we're back to being brothers again. So we already had that practice, right? We've done that, been there for the first 20 years of our lives. And then the next thing that you said is equally important, I feel, is after staying in your own lane, is the complementing skill sets. Like Yawer's finance, I am marketing and operations. All of us do, Arthur's done 10 years, 11 years in the biggest bank in the US. I've run on my marketing agency. I've always had these crazy ideas, but no one to when I say jump to jump. But now I have these two guys who do because we've been doing it since we were kids. I was always leading them into dangerous situations.
You were the one spearheading it. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, the like you said, EOS for reference, who those of who you don't know, is Entrepreneur Operating System. You can learn about it in the book called Traction by Gino Wickman. It's great. A lot of our businesses, people we work with, we all run on the EOS system. And it's a thing of beauty, especially if you're going to be running a remote agency. My only I need your 30 to 60-second reply on this because you guys do such a phenomenal job on this and it's really for my learning. In 30 to 60 seconds, Yesenia, how do you do a community-led growth for your business?
Oh my goodness. It's so powerful. We are the average of the five people we surround ourselves with the most. It's
Mm,
so important to hone in on the community aspect as a business owner because the service offering brings them in, but the relationships keep them there. It's
mm,
an amazing retention play to foster, just like we do with our teams, and we build this culture. It's so important to create a culture dynamic for the people who you serve as well. And building that know, like, trust, the information that you give off is what helps attract people into your community. And then, like I said, keeping them there with doing live events, for example. And that's a really key power play is the fact that you bring them all together.
mm,
Entrepreneurship, when you work with other people, they also run other businesses too. And so, in the niche that they're in, if you bring them all together, they become friends and they build these relationships because entrepreneurship is an island. It
mhm.
feels lonely. And so,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be connected with more people like themselves.
You guys do a phenomenal job with that stuff. Yeah, I like to call the analogy the fighter pilot room, where, like when these guys are on duty, they're all hanging out in the same room, ready to fly off in a moment's notice. And fighter pilots hang out with fighter pilots, right? So that's what you got to do. And you guys do an amazing job. Check out the seven-figure agencies, online communities on Facebook, especially. Amazing job. Just the free community is so powerful. Yesenia, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'd like to use some of this for the book as well. I'll send you the manuscript when it's ready. And
Wow, look forward to reading it.
thanks for all the teachings, coaching, and being a friend. And I totally, between the two of you, you're definitely the finesse. And Josh is amazing too, but so I feel what a great combination. What a way to run a family business. Such a great role model. And thanks a lot for coming on my show today. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, Azar. Really appreciate you having me on. This was very fun, very exciting
Thanks. I
chatting.
appreciate it. We'll send you when it's up. And I'll see you in Miami next time.
Oh, looking forward to it in July.
Thank you. We'll see you then. Bye,
Thanks.
guys.